Okay, after I introduced the inverse graph, I have to introduce you the inverse function. Okay, remember, okay, an inverse graph is different to an inverse function. Okay, they're quite similar, but there is differences between them. So just make note they're different. Okay? And I show you how using the examples before. So okay, by the way, also you can use your calculator to find out the inverse graph. Okay, let me do an example. Okay. So if I have, for instance, y equals to x squared, okay, and I sketch it in my calculator, what do? I go to Analyze, Sketch, and Inverse there. Okay, and your calculator will sketch the inverse graph for you. Okay. And we can zoom it. I think. Okay. 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 Anyway, if we zoom it, let's say we have. Okay, it will be the same. It will be the similar graph we found before. Okay, let me just sketch it now. Okay, so this is y equals to x squared. X belongs to R, and the inverse graph, okay, from the calculator, or okay, is going to be something like that. Okay, okay, the inverse graph, and okay, so this is an inverse graph. Okay, do you guys still remember how to determine whether a graph is a function or not? I did the tutorial in the very beginning of the math method. Okay, if you forget it, well, please watch them again. Okay, so the idea is we have to determine, after we draw the inverse graph, we have to determine whether the inverse graph is a function or not. Okay, and the method was we drawing vertical straight lines. Okay, and find how many cars is between a single vertical straight line and the, in, the inverse graph. Okay? If we find more than one cars between the vertical straight line and the inverse graph, then the graph is not a function, because it means for every value, for every x value, the inverse graph will give us two y values. Okay, and it is not a function. In a function, for every one value, the graph can only give us one y value. Okay, so I did how to determine uh, whether graph is a function in the tutorial before. So if you're not familiar with that, please watch them again. Okay. Okay. Here we found the inverse graph of y equals to x squared, and the domain x belongs to R is not a function. So what I can say is y equals to x squared has a inverse graph but it does not have an inverse function. Okay, so this is basically the difference between inverse graph and the inverse function. So every graph can have an inverse graph. If the inverse graph is a function, then the original graph would have an inverse function. Okay, this is very important theory. Okay. Okay, and of course you need to learn how to uh, find out the mathematical equation of the inverse function. Okay, okay, just let me do some examples now. Okay, for example, if the function f(x) equals to x squared minus 2, and the domain is x belongs to 0 to infinity. Okay, and the question is asked us to find f inverse okay, and sketch it. Okay, this okay, this symbol here, okay, means the inverse function. Okay, this symbol here means the inverse function. Okay, and in order to find the inverse function, what do we do? Well, we have to interchange x and y. So like what we did before. So for example, the original graph is y equals to x squared minus 2. Okay, and x is belongs to from 0 to, well, square bracket 0 to positive infinity. So let's find the domain. Okay. let's find the range of the graph. Okay, x and y. So we sketch this graph. It will be there. Will be looks like this. Okay, y equals to x squared minus 2. The domain is from 0 to infinity. Okay, we don't in this case we don't sketch the whole thing of the graph because we have a restricted domain. Okay, so the graph would look like this, and from here what I can say, I have a minus 2 as y-intercept and square root of 2 as x-intercept if we substitute y equals to 0. Okay, and now I can say the range of the graph will be y belongs to square bracket minus 2 to positive infinity. Okay. Okay. Now let's interchange x and y for the inverse function. Okay. So I will have x equals to y squared minus 2. Okay, and the domain here becomes the range of the inverse function. Y belongs to from 0 to infinity, and the range of the original function would become the domain of the inverse function. Okay, x belongs to square bracket minus 2 to infinity. Okay, and I can rearrange this formula. Y and y will be equals to minus positive and minus square root of x plus 2. Okay, and the domain is that, and the range is from 0 to infinity.